When the master's wife brings her husband's slave inside during a storm, everything changes. This seemingly simple act of kindness sets off a chain reaction that defies societal norms and ignites a forbidden connection. In a world where love is constrained by the harsh realities of their lives, this moment of compassion becomes a catalyst for transformation. As the storm rages outside, so too do the emotions and tensions within, leading to choices that will alter their fates forever. In the heart of a sprawling southern plantation, darkness looms on the horizon, casting an ominous shadow over the lush fields. The air is thick with humidity, pregnant with the promise of rain. A storm brews, both outside and within the lives of its inhabitants. Elena, the master's wife, stands at the window, her heart heavy with an unshakable longing for freedom. She watches as the sky darkens, feeling a kinship with the brewing tempest. Both are restless, yearning for release from the constraints that bind them. Elena's thoughts drift to Isaiah, the slave who works the fields under the unforgiving sun. He embodies strength and resilience, qualities she admires and envies. His laughter, often muted by the weight of his circumstances, resonates in her mind. He is a man of dreams, and in those fleeting moments, she imagines what it would be like to share in his hopes. This moment feels like a reckoning, as if the very air is charged with the promise of change. She knows she should be content, living a life of privilege, but her heart tells a different story. Outside, Isaiah battles against the biting wind and relentless rain that begins to fall, the first drops splattering against the parched ground. Each gust lashes at him, a reminder of his harsh reality. He pushes forward, driven by dreams of a life beyond the plantation, where the weight of chains is replaced with the lightness of possibility. The storm mirrors his own turbulent desires, an inner tempest of longing and despair. He longs for freedom, for a chance to live without fear of the whip or the watchful eyes of the overseers. As the wind picks up, so does the intensity of his thoughts. Memories of family long lost flood his mind, their faces flickering like shadows in the corners of his memory. Suddenly, a crack of thunder echoes through the air, shaking the ground beneath him, a precursor to the chaos about to unfold. He pauses, looking up at the darkening sky, feeling the electricity in the air. It is a moment charged with uncertainty, one that could either crush him or propel him forward. Inside the house, the atmosphere is tense. Elena's resolve solidifies as she hears the distant rumble of thunder. She knows that the storm is not just a force of nature but a harbinger of change, a catalyst for the choices she must make. With every flash of lightning, her heart races, urging her to act. She throws open the door and calls out to Isaiah, her voice cutting through the howling wind. "Come, inside. You'll be safe here." This single act of defiance ignites a spark that neither of them can ignore. Isaiah hesitates for a moment, his instincts battling against the ingrained fear of crossing the invisible line that separates them. But, as another gust of wind whips through the trees, he realizes the gravity of her offer. With a quick glance over his shoulder, he sprints toward the safety of the house, the rain pelting down harder, soaking him to the bone. As he steps inside, the warmth envelops him, contrasting sharply with the cold dread of the storm outside. Elena watches him, her heart pounding, not just from the storm, but from the overwhelming sense of connection that crackles between them. In this moment, as the storm rages outside, the boundaries of their worlds blur, and the possibilities stretch before them like the vast sky above. But this was just the beginning of their tangled fate. As the door closes behind Isaiah, the howling wind subsides to a distant roar, muffled by the thick walls of the plantation house. The warmth inside feels foreign to him, a stark contrast to the chill of the storm. He stands just inside the threshold, water dripping from his clothes, his heart racing as he processes the enormity of what has just transpired. The air is thick with tension, and he feels acutely aware of his presence in a space that has always belonged to someone else. Elena watches him closely, her breath hitching in her throat. Here stands a man who has endured more than she can fully comprehend. Yet here he is, dripping wet and vulnerable, in a place that should feel safe but is charged with unspoken danger. The flickering light from the fireplace dances across his features, highlighting the determination etched into his brow and the weariness in his eyes. This is a man of strength and resilience, qualities she admires and, in some ways, envies. The house around them is a testament to the lives lived within its walls, adorned with heavy drapes and polished furniture that speak of wealth and privilege. Yet, in this moment, those trappings feel like a distant memory. The storm outside rages on, a relentless reminder of the world beyond, the world filled with expectations and constraints. Elena's thoughts drift to Isaiah's laughter, often muted by the weight of his circumstances, and she realizes just how much she longs to hear it, to join him in that fleeting joy. As the wind picks up, so does the intensity of her thoughts. What would it be like to break free from this life, to embrace the unknown? She glances at Isaiah again, feeling a kinship that defies the boundaries of their worlds. Suddenly, she is struck by the realization that perhaps she is not the only one seeking liberation. "Are you all right?" she asks, breaking the silence that has enveloped them. Her voice is gentle, filled with genuine concern. Isaiah nods, though his expression remains guarded. "I'm fine," he replies, but the tremor in his voice betrays the turmoil beneath the surface. He shifts in his seat, the woolen blanket she offered him providing only a semblance of comfort. "Thank you for letting me in." Elena retrieves a thick woolen blanket from a nearby chair and hands it to him. Their fingers brush against each other, and a spark of electricity courses through them, igniting a warmth that is both thrilling and terrifying. She notices the way he hesitates, his eyes searching hers for permission, for acknowledgement of the bond that is forming in the midst of chaos. "You should dry off," she says softly, stepping back to give him space, but her heart races at the thought of their proximity. "I can get you some dry clothes if you need them." Isaiah's eyes widen slightly at the suggestion, and he hesitates. "I wouldn't want to impose," he murmurs, his voice low. The weight of his modesty tugs at her heartstrings, making her wish to bridge the divide between them. "Please," she insists, her tone firm but kind. "You've already come this far. Don't think of it as an imposition. Consider it a small act of kindness in a world that offers so little." With a reluctant nod, he accepts her offer, and she retrieves a simple pair of trousers and a shirt from her husband's wardrobe. Clothes that, while not lavish, would provide him with some comfort. As she hands them to him, she feels a rush of exhilaration mixed with fear. What if someone finds out? What if this act of kindness leads to something greater, something dangerous? Isaiah changes quickly, the transformation from soaked to dry offering him a sense of relief and warmth. As he slips into the clothes, Elena watches, captivated by the way he carries himself. There's a strength in him that she admires, a quiet dignity that commands respect. "Thank you," he says again, his voice softer now, almost vulnerable. "I don't know how to repay you for this." "You don't have to repay me," she replies, her heart swelling with an unexpected sense of connection. "Just be yourself." They share a moment of silence, the crackling of the fire, the only sound breaking the tension. Outside, the storm rages on, but inside this small haven, time seems to stand still. Elena studies Isaiah closely, taking in the strength of his jaw, the way his hair curls at the nape of his neck, the determination etched into every line of his face. She wonders what dreams he holds and what hopes he dares to dream in a world that seeks to crush them both. "Why did you let me in?" Isaiah's voice breaks the silence, filled with curiosity and caution. There's a weight to his question, as if he's asking for more than just an explanation. It's a question that digs deep into the heart of their situation, one that challenges the very fabric of their lives. Elena swallows hard, searching for the right words. I couldn't bear the thought of you out there in the storm, she admits, her voice trembling, slightly. I know what it's like to feel trapped, to feel like there's no way out. Isaiah meets her gaze, and in that moment a connection is forged, one that transcends the barriers of class and race. You're not trapped, he says quietly, an edge of disbelief in his tone. You have a life, a home. But it's not the life I want, she interrupts, her voice rising. I'm suffocating in this place. I feel like I'm living in a cage, just like you. Her words hang in the air, heavy with unspoken truths. Isaiah's expression softens, and he leans forward, intrigued. You don't have to stay, he says gently. You have the power to change your life, to break free from this cage. Elena feels a shiver run down her spine, not from the chill of the storm outside, but from the realization that he is right. For the first time, she contemplates the possibility of escape, not just for herself, but for both of them. As they share this fleeting moment of vulnerability, the storm outside begins to wane, the thunder fading into the distance, leaving behind a heavy silence filled with unspoken possibilities. But as they stare at each other, both aware of the precariousness of their situation, the world outside continues to spin, unaware of the bond that is forming within these walls. A bond that could change everything, forever intertwining their fates in ways they can scarcely imagine. The storm has begun to recede, leaving behind a heavy stillness that hangs in the air like a promise. Inside the plantation house, Elena and Isaiah sit close to the fire, the warmth enveloping them as they share stories that unveil their souls. The flickering light casts shadows on the walls, creating a sanctuary from the world outside, a world filled with expectations, chains, and unyielding oppression. Tell me about your family, Elena urges softly, her curiosity piqued. She wants to understand the man sitting across from her, to grasp the weight of his experiences that have shaped him. What were they like? Isaiah hesitates, his expression shifting as he recalls the memories. My mother was a healer, he begins, his voice thick with emotion. She had a way with herbs and roots, and the people in our community would come to her for help. She taught me the power of nature, how to listen to the land and understand its whispers. His eyes gleam with nostalgia, but there's also a shadow of loss that lingers behind them. And my father, he continues, was a carpenter. He built our home with his own hands. I remember the way he smiled when he finished a project, proud of the shelter he provided for us. We were a family, bound together by love and resilience. The pride in his voice deepens, but it is quickly overshadowed by a haunting sorrow. Elena listens intently, her heart aching for the family he describes. What happened to them? She asks gently, not wanting to pry, but feeling the urgency to understand his pain. They were taken, he replies, his voice barely above a whisper. Sold away when I was just a child. I never got to say goodbye. The weight of his words hangs heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the brutality of their reality. I've been running ever since, searching for a way to reunite us, to find freedom for myself and for others. The fire crackles, and Elena feels the warmth of his spirit igniting her own desires for change. You're not alone in this fight, she says, her voice steady. There are others who feel the same way. I've seen the discontent among the workers. They're tired of the oppression, tired of living in fear. Isaiah looks at her, his brow furrowed with concern. What do you mean? The whispers of rebellion are growing, she explains, her heart racing at the thought of what she's about to say. I've overheard conversations in the kitchen, among the house staff. They're planning something that could change everything. Isaiah's eyes widen at her revelation, a mix of hope and caution swirling within them. Do you think they're ready? He asks, his voice laced with urgency. They could be putting themselves in danger. I believe they are, Elena replies, her conviction strengthening. They're tired of living in the shadows, tired of being treated as less than human. If we can unite our voices, we might stand a chance. The thought of rebellion ignites a flicker of hope within Isaiah. I've dreamed of this, he admits, the firelight reflecting the determination in his eyes. But how do we begin? How do we rally them? Elena leans forward, her heart pounding with the weight of the moment. We need to build trust, to show them that there is a way out of this life. We can start with small acts of defiance, gathering in secret, sharing stories, and reminding one another of our worth. Isaiah nods, the fire of rebellion igniting in his chest. And we need a plan. We can't just act impulsively, we must be strategic. If we're going to challenge the system, we need to know our enemies and our allies. The two of them sit in silence for a moment, the enormity of their undertaking sinking in. They are on the brink of something monumental, something that could change the course of their lives and the lives of their people forever. Let's start tonight, Elena says, her voice filled with resolve. We can gather the others and share our vision. If we can plant the seeds of rebellion in their hearts, we can cultivate a movement. With newfound purpose, they rise from their seats, the fire crackling behind them as they prepare to step into the world outside. Each step feels heavy with the weight of their decision, but also light with the thrill of possibility. As they make their way through the darkened halls of the plantation, they are acutely aware of the risks involved. Every creak of the floorboards and whisper of the wind sends a shiver down their spines. But with each step, they are fueled by the knowledge that they are not alone. Their voices will join with others, creating a chorus of defiance that will echo through the plantation. As they reach the kitchen, the heart of the household, they find a small group huddled together, whispering in hushed tones. The faces of their fellow workers, weary but determined, look up as Elena and Isaiah enter. "Gather around," Elena calls out, her voice steady and strong. "We have something important to discuss." The whispers fade and the room falls silent, anticipation hanging thick in the air. In that moment, as they stand together, the seeds of rebellion begin to take root, promising a future where freedom is not just a dream, but a reality. Isaiah steps forward, his heart pounding in his chest. "We've all felt the weight of our chains," he begins, his voice resonating with conviction. "But tonight, we stand together. We have the power to change our fate. No longer will we submit to a life of fear and servitude." A murmur of agreement ripples through the crowd, and Elena feels a surge of hope. "We can't just dream of freedom. We must act," she adds, her voice rising above the murmurs. "We must gather our strength and unite our voices. Together, we are stronger than the forces that seek to divide us." One of the older women in the group, a seasoned worker named May, steps forward. "But what if we fail?" she asks, her voice trembling. "What if the overseers find out? They could punish us or worse." Isaiah meets her gaze, his expression earnest. "We are already living in fear. What is there to lose if we do not try? We have to believe that change is possible. If we stay silent, we will remain trapped in this cycle forever." Encouraged by Isaiah's words, others begin to speak up, sharing their own fears and hopes. A young man named Thomas, who has been working the field since he was a boy, raises his voice. "I want to fight for my family. I want to see my sister and brother live in a world where they are not slaves. I want them to know freedom." Elena watches the group as they begin to unite in their shared desires. The fire of rebellion flickers in their eyes, illuminating the path ahead. "We'll start small," she suggests. "We can meet in secret, share information, and form alliances. We'll need to communicate without drawing attention. We must be smart about this." One of the women, a fierce spirit named Clara, nods. "I know how to send messages without being seen. I've done it before, passing along news from one plantation to another." "Then we can use that," Isaiah replies, his heart racing with excitement. If we can connect with other plantations, we can build a network, a community of resistance. As they strategize, the air around them buzzes with energy. Ideas flow freely, and a sense of camaraderie emerges, binding them together. They plan secret meetings under the cover of darkness, where they will share knowledge and create a united front against their oppressors. But as the excitement builds, so too does the weight of their reality. The threat of discovery looms over them like a dark cloud, a constant reminder that they are treading dangerous ground. Each whispered plan feels like a step closer to freedom, yet the risk of punishment hangs heavily in the air. As the meeting comes to an end, Elena looks around at the faces of her fellow workers, each one a testament to the strength and resilience that lies within them. No matter what happens, remember that we are fighting for our dignity, our humanity, she says, her voice filled with conviction. Together, we can create a future where our children will not have to live in fear. Isaiah's heart swells with pride as he sees the determination in their eyes. They are no longer just individuals trapped in a system. They are a collective force ready to challenge the status quo. "Let's meet again tomorrow night," he suggests, and the group nods in agreement, the fire of rebellion igniting within each of them. As they disperse, Elena and Isaiah share a quiet moment, their hearts racing with the gravity of their plans. "This is just the beginning," Isaiah whispers, his eyes shining with determination. "We have a chance to change everything." Elena nods, her spirit soaring with hope. "And we will," she promises, her voice steady and resolute. "We will fight for our freedom, for our future." As they step out into the night, the air is cool against their skin, a stark contrast to the heat of the kitchen. The stars twinkle above them, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to guide the way. With each step they take, they know they are no longer alone. Together, they are sowing the seeds of rebellion, and with them, a new dawn awaits. The next evening, the moon hangs low in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the plantation. The air is thick with anticipation as Elena and Isaiah make their way through the winding paths leading to the hidden meeting spot, a secluded grove of trees just beyond the main house where the rustling leaves can muffle their voices. As they approach, they see the flicker of firelight illuminating the faces of their fellow workers, all gathered around a small fire, the warmth of the flames contrasting sharply with the cool night air. Each face reflects a mixture of hope and apprehension, the stakes of their gathering rising with each whispered exchange. Elena's heart races as she takes her place among them, the energy in the air almost palpable. "Thank you all for coming," she begins, her voice steady despite the nerves thrumming through her. "Tonight, we take the first step toward our freedom." A murmur of agreement ripples through the group, and Isaiah steps forward, his presence commanding. "We've all felt the weight of our chains," he says, his voice resonating with conviction. "But tonight, we stand together. No longer will we submit to a life of fear and servitude." The fire crackles as the group leans in closer, their eyes bright with determination. Clara, the woman who had spoken up at their last meeting, raises her hand. "What's the plan? How do we move from words to action?" Isaiah nods, grateful for her eagerness. "We start by spreading the word. We'll form small groups to communicate and gather support. Trust is essential. We must know who among us is willing to join this cause." Elena adds, "We can't forget the risks. The overseers will be on high alert if they suspect anything. We need to be careful about who we approach and how we share our intentions." A young man named Thomas speaks up again, his voice trembling with enthusiasm. "I can help with that. I've heard the overseers talk about their plans and movements. If I can keep an ear to the ground, I might be able to warn you if things start to feel off." "Good idea, Thomas," Isaiah replies, a smile breaking across his face. "We need eyes and ears everywhere. The more information we gather, the better prepared we will be." As they continue to discuss their strategies, Elena feels a sense of unity blossoming among them. Each person brings their own strengths, and together they are creating a network of resistance. The thrill of possibility courses through her veins, but so does a flicker of fear. What if they are discovered? What if this dream of freedom costs them everything? The group spends the next hours discussing their plans, sharing stories of their struggles and aspirations. They talk of family members they wish to free, of dreams deferred, and of the future they envision, a future where their children can live without fear, where they can walk with their heads held high. As the fire burns low, the mood shifts to one of solemn determination. "We need to decide on a signal," Elena suggests, her brow furrowed in concentration. "If things go wrong, we need a way to warn each other." Isaiah nods in agreement. "How about a simple whistle? One short burst for danger, two for meeting times. It's discreet and can be used in any situation." The group murmurs their approval, and soon they practice the signals, laughter mingling with the tension as they blow soft whistles into the night. Their spirits lift, a shared camaraderie enveloping them like a warm blanket. But as the laughter fades, a shadow of reality creeps back in. "What if we're caught?" one of the older men, Samuel, asks, his voice heavy with worry. "The overseers won't hesitate to punish us. We need to be prepared for that." Isaiah's face hardens. "We understand the risks, but staying silent is a death sentence. We must believe that change is possible. If we stay silent, we will remain trapped in this cycle forever." Elena feels a surge of admiration for Isaiah's courage. His passionate words ignite a fire in her heart, pushing her to confront her own fears. "We've already lost so much. What we stand to gain is worth the risk," she adds, her voice steady. "We are fighting for our dignity, for our lives." As they disperse into the night, the weight of their mission settles heavily on their shoulders. Each person carries the burden of their dreams, their hopes intertwined with the collective desire for freedom. They part ways, promising to meet again soon, each step echoing with the resolve to change their fates. The following days are filled with hushed conversations and covert meetings, the air thick with the smell of rebellion. The group grows, as whispers of their cause spread among the workers. They meet under the cover of darkness, sharing news and plans, forging a bond that strengthens with each encounter. But as their numbers swell, so too does the scrutiny from the overseers. Elena feels the tension in the air, a constant reminder that their actions do not go unnoticed. The overseers are sharp and observant, and they begin to tighten their grip, looking for signs of dissent. One evening, as Elena walks back to her quarters after a meeting, she overhears a conversation between two overseers. "Have you noticed the workers lately?" one says, his voice low and conspiratorial. "They've been too chatty. I don't like it." The words send a chill down her spine. This was the moment she had feared. They were becoming too bold, too visible. She quickens her pace, her heart pounding in her chest as she races to warn Isaiah and the others. When she arrives at the grove, she finds the group already gathered, their faces etched with concern. "We need to be careful," Elena warns, her voice urgent. "The overseers are suspicious. They're watching us more closely than ever." Isaiah's brow furrows as he processes the information. "We can't let fear paralyze us," he says, but there's a gravity in his tone that echoes Elena's concerns. "We need to adjust our plans, keep our meetings smaller and less frequent until we can gauge the situation." The group nods in agreement, their resolve hardening. They understand the stakes. This is not just about their actions, but their lives. As they discuss their next steps, Elena feels the weight of their dreams pressing down on her, a reminder of what is at stake. "Let's focus on gathering supplies," she suggests, her mind racing with possibilities. "Food, weapons, anything we can use when the time comes. We may need to act quickly, and being prepared could make all the difference." Isaiah nods, his expression serious. "Agreed. We should also think about escape routes. If things go wrong, we need a plan to get out quickly. The group begins to brainstorm, each idea sparking more thoughts and possibilities. Clara suggests a hidden path through the woods that she had used as a child, a route that could lead them away from the plantation undetected. The others contribute their own knowledge of the land, mapping out potential escape routes and safe havens they could access. As they discuss, Elena feels a sense of urgency building within her. We must also find ways to protect ourselves. If we're going to stand against the overseers, we need to be ready for whatever they throw at us, she insists, her voice rising above the murmurs. Perhaps we can fashion some rudimentary weapons, Thomas suggests, his eyes alight with determination. We could use tools from the fields, anything that can give us an edge if the time comes. Let's not forget to think strategically, Samuel chimes in. We need to know our enemies, how many overseers are on patrol, their routines. Knowledge is our greatest weapon. As the meeting progresses, the fire in their hearts burns brighter, fueled by the shared desire for freedom. They discuss the importance of communication, the need to remain discreet, and the necessity of not acting out of desperation. But as the hours pass, the weight of their mission becomes almost suffocating. The reality of their situation presses down on them, and Elena can see the flicker of fear in their eyes. She knows that while they are united in their cause, the risks are real and present. As the meeting comes to a close, Elena looks around at the faces of her fellow workers, each one a testament to the strength and resilience that lies within them. They are no longer just individuals trapped in a system. They are a collective force ready to challenge the status quo. With the night deepening around them, they part ways, promising to remain vigilant. The path ahead is fraught with danger, but they are united in their purpose. Together, they are sowing the seeds of rebellion, and with them, a new dawn awaits, a dawn filled with the promise of freedom. As she walks back to her quarters, Elena's mind races with thoughts of the plans they've set in motion. She feels a mixture of hope and fear, her heart pounding with the realization that they are on the brink of something monumental. The courage of her fellow workers inspires her, but the threat of discovery looms like a dark cloud overhead. That night, as she lies in bed, she stares up at the ceiling, her mind replaying the evening's events. The faces of her friends linger in her thoughts, their determination etched into her memory. She knows the risks they are taking, the potential consequences of their actions, but she also feels a sense of purpose that she has never known before. In the darkness, she whispers a silent promise to herself and to those who have joined her in this fight. They will not be silenced. They will not be broken. Together, they will rise against the oppression that binds them, and they will fight for their freedom. Dawn breaks over the plantation, casting a golden hue across the fields, but the beauty of the morning does little to ease the tension that has settled over the workers. As the sun rises, so does the urgency of their mission. Each day feels like a countdown, a reminder that time is slipping away and that the overseers are growing more watchful. Elena awakes with a sense of purpose, her mind racing with the plans they have set in motion. She dresses quickly, her heart pounding as she thinks of the meeting they have scheduled for that night. It will be crucial. They must finalize their escape routes and gather supplies. Today, they need to act. As she makes her way to the fields, she notices the weary faces of her fellow workers. The strain of their toil is evident, but beneath the exhaustion lies a flicker of determination. Whispers of rebellion have spread among them, and Elena can sense the change in the air. They are ready to fight for their freedom. In the fields, she finds Isaiah already hard at work. His strong frame moves rhythmically as he tends to the crops, but there's a fire in his eyes that betrays his focus. "We need to be careful today," he says, lowering his voice as Elena approaches. "I overheard the overseers talking last night. They're suspicious of us." Elena feels a chill run down her spine. What did they say? Isaiah glances around to ensure they are not overheard. They mentioned increased patrols. They're planning to watch us more closely, especially during the evening hours. We have to be discreet about our meetings. Elena nods, her stomach twisting with anxiety. Then we must gather information quickly and meet early. The longer we wait, the more at risk we become. As they work, the hours slip by, the sun climbing higher in the sky. The heat of the day bears down on them, but the growing urgency propels them forward. Elena can see the other workers glancing at one another, their conversations hushed yet charged with a sense of camaraderie. They are united in their purpose, and the air crackles with the potential for change. By midday, as the sun reaches its zenith, they are called to gather for a brief break. Elena stands with Isaiah and a few trusted allies, their faces set with determination. "Tonight is crucial," she reminds them, her voice steady. "We need to finalize our plans and ensure everyone knows their role." Clara steps forward, her brow furrowed with concern. "What if the overseers find out? What if they try to stop us? We need to be prepared for that possibility." Isaiah nods, his jaw tightening. "We must move swiftly and quietly. If we can gather enough supplies, we can make our escape before they realize what we're doing." As they discuss their strategy, Elena feels a sense of unity blossoming among them. Each person brings their own strengths, and together they are creating a network of resistance. The thrill of possibility courses through her veins. But so does a flicker of fear. What if they are discovered? What if this dream of freedom costs them everything? The group spends the next hours discussing their plans, sharing stories of their struggles and aspirations. They talk of family members they wish to free, of dreams deferred, and of the future they envision. A future where their children can live without fear, where they can walk with their heads held high. As the fire burns low, the mood shifts to one of solemn determination. "We need to decide on a signal," Elena suggests, her brow furrowed in concentration. "If things go wrong, we need a way to warn each other." Isaiah nods in agreement. "How about a simple whistle? One short burst for danger, two for meeting times. It's discreet and can be used in any situation." The group murmurs their approval, and soon they practice the signals, laughter mingling with the tension as they blow soft whistles into the night. Their spirits lift, a shared camaraderie enveloping them like a warm blanket. But as the laughter fades, a shadow of reality creeps back in. "What if we're caught?" one of the older men, Samuel, asks, his voice heavy with worry. "The overseers won't hesitate to punish us. We need to be prepared for that." Isaiah's face hardens. "We understand the risks, but staying silent is a death sentence. We must believe that change is possible. If we stay silent, we will remain trapped in this cycle forever." Elena feels a surge of admiration for Isaiah's courage. His passionate words ignite a fire in her heart, pushing her to confront her own fears. "We've already lost so much. What we stand to gain is worth the risk," she adds, her voice steady. "We are fighting for our dignity, for our lives." As they disperse into the night, the weight of their mission settles heavily on their shoulders. Each person carries the burden of their dreams, their hopes intertwined with the collective desire for freedom. They part ways, promising to meet again soon, each step echoing with the resolve to change their fates. The following days are filled with hushed conversations and covert meetings, the air thick with the smell of rebellion. The group grows as whispers of their cause spread among the workers. They meet under the cover of darkness, sharing news and plans, forging a bond that strengthens with each encounter. But as their numbers swell, so too does the scrutiny from the overseers. Elena feels the tension in the air, a constant reminder that their actions do not go unnoticed. The overseers are sharp and observant, and they begin to tighten their grip, looking for signs of dissent. One evening, as Elena walks back to her quarters after a meeting, she overhears a conversation between two overseers. "Have you noticed the workers lately?" one says, his voice low and conspiratorial. "They've been too chatty. I don't like it." The words send a chill down her spine. This was the moment she had feared. They were becoming too bold, too visible. She quickens her pace, her heart pounding in her chest as she races to warn Isaiah and the "you others." When she arrives at the grove, she finds the group already gathered, their faces etched with concern. "We need to be careful," Elena warns, her voice urgent. "The overseers are suspicious. They're watching us more closely than ever." Isaiah's brow furrows as he processes the information. "We can't let fear paralyze us," he says, but there's a gravity in his tone that echoes Elena's concerns. "We need to adjust our plans, keep our meetings smaller and less frequent until we can gauge the situation." The group nods in agreement, their resolve hardening. They understand the stakes. This is not just about their actions, but their lives. As they discuss their next steps, Elena feels the weight of their dreams pressing down on her, a reminder of what is at stake. "Let's focus on gathering supplies," she suggests, her mind racing with possibilities. "Food, weapons, anything we can use when the time comes. We may need to act quickly, and being prepared could make all the difference." Isaiah nods, his expression serious. "Agreed. We should also think about escape routes. If things go wrong, we need a plan to get out quickly." The group begins to brainstorm, each idea sparking more thoughts and possibilities. Clara suggests a hidden path through the woods that she had used as a child, a route that could lead them away from the plantation undetected. The others contribute their own knowledge of the land, mapping out potential escape routes and safe havens they could access. As they discuss, Elena feels a sense of urgency building within her. "We must also find ways to protect ourselves. If we're going to stand against the overseers, we need to be ready for whatever they throw at us," she insists, her voice rising above the murmurs. "Perhaps we can fashion some rudimentary weapons," Thomas suggests, his eyes alight with determination. "We could use tools from the fields, anything that can give us an edge if the time comes." "Let's not forget to think strategically," Samuel chimes in. "We need to know our enemies, how many overseers are on patrol, their routines. Knowledge is our greatest weapon." As the meeting progresses, the fire in their hearts burns brighter, fueled by the shared desire for freedom. They discuss the importance of communication, the need to remain discreet, and the necessity of not acting out of desperation. But as the hours pass, the weight of their mission becomes almost suffocating. The reality of their situation presses down on them, and Elena can see the flicker of fear in their eyes. She knows that while they are united in their cause, the risks are real and present. As the meeting comes to a close, Elena looks around at the faces of her fellow workers, each one a testament to the strength and resilience that lies within them. They are no longer just individuals trapped in a system. They are a collective force ready to challenge the status quo. With the night deepening around them, they part ways, promising to remain vigilant. The path ahead is fraught with danger, but they are united in their purpose. Together, they are sowing the seeds of rebellion, and with them, a new dawn awaits. A dawn filled with the promise of freedom. As she walks back to her quarters, Elena's mind races with thoughts of the plans they've set in motion. She feels a mixture of hope and fear, her heart pounding with the realization that they are on the brink of something monumental. The courage of her fellow workers inspires her, but the threat of discovery looms like a dark cloud overhead. That night, as she lies in bed, Elena stares up at the ceiling, her mind replaying the evening's events. The faces of her friends linger in her thoughts, their determination etched into her memory. She knows the risks they are taking, the potential consequences of their actions, but she also feels a sense of purpose that she has never known before. In the darkness, she whispers a silent promise to herself and to those who have joined her in this fight. They will not be silenced. They will not be broken. Together, they will rise against the oppression that binds them, and they will fight for their freedom. The following morning, a heavy fog blankets the plantation, obscuring the fields and shrouding their daily routine in mystery. The atmosphere is tense, as if the very air is charged with the weight of unspoken words and hidden fears. Elena arrives at the fields alongside Isaiah, their hearts heavy with the knowledge that each passing moment brings them closer to a confrontation they are not fully prepared for. As they work, the oppressive silence is punctuated only by the distant sounds of the overseers barking orders and the clinking of metal tools against the earth. The workers move methodically, their bodies tired, but their spirits resolute. Elena catches glimpses of her fellow workers, their eyes reflecting a shared understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the rebellion that is brewing beneath the surface. During a brief break, Elena and Isaiah huddle together with Clara and Thomas. "We've been gathering supplies," Clara says, her voice low but urgent. "But I worry about the overseers' increasing vigilance. They've been watching our every move." "I overheard one of the overseers say they're planning to crack down on any signs of unrest," Thomas adds, his brow furrowed. "We have to be ready for anything." Elena feels the weight of their fears pressing down on her. She knows that the stakes are higher than ever before. "We must act quickly," she urges. "Tonight, we need to finalize everything. We can't let fear hold us back." As the sun begins to set, casting a warm glow across the plantation, the tension in the air becomes almost palpable. The workers gather in the grove once again, their faces illuminated by the flickering firelight. Isaiah stands before them, his expression serious. "Tonight we take a stand," he declares, his voice steady. "We've prepared for this moment, and we must be ready to fight for our freedom. If we're caught, we must stand united. We cannot let them divide us." Elena looks around at the faces of her comrades, their eyes shining with determination. "We have to remember why we're doing this," she adds, her heart racing. "We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for our families, for our future. This is our chance to break the chains that bind us." The group nods, a chorus of agreement rising around the fire. They share stories of their dreams, their hopes for a future where they can live without fear. The fire crackles, and for a moment, the warmth and camaraderie dispel the shadows of doubt that loom over them. But as the night deepens, Elena can feel the tension mounting. She glances toward the edges of the grove, half expecting to see the overseers lurking in the shadows. "We need to stay alert," she reminds them. "We can't let our guard down." Just then, a rustling sound breaks the stillness, and the group falls silent, their eyes wide with fear. Elena's heart races as she scans the darkness, her breath catching in her throat. "What was that?" she whispers, her voice trembling. Before anyone can respond, a figure emerges from the shadows, a young man, breathless and wide-eyed. "They're coming! The overseers know!" he gasps, panic evident in his voice. The group erupts into chaos, fear gripping them as they scramble to react. "We need to split up," Isaiah shouts, his voice cutting through the panic. "Meet back at the barn if we get separated. Move now." Elena feels a surge of adrenaline as she grabs Thomas's arm. "Come on, we have to go," she urges, pulling him toward the tree line. The others scatter, their footsteps echoing in the night as they flee into the darkness. As they run, Elena's mind races. The overseers are onto them and their plans are unraveling before her eyes. She pushes herself harder, her heart pounding in her chest as they navigate the familiar paths of the plantation, every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs heightening her sense of urgency. "Where do we go?" Thomas asks, breathless and terrified. "Follow me," Elena replies, her determination unwavering. She leads him toward the hidden path Clara had described, a narrow trail that winds through the woods and leads to a nearby river. If they can reach the water, they might find safety. The sounds of pursuit grow louder behind them, the shouts of the overseers echoing through the trees. "They're gaining on us," Thomas gasps, his voice filled with panic. "Keep running," Elena urges, her own fear propelling her forward. She can't afford to look back. They must keep moving, keep fighting for their freedom. As they reach the riverbank, the sight of the water glistening in the moonlight fills her with hope. "This way," she shouts, gesturing for Thomas to follow her into the water. They wade in, the coolness of the river wrapping around them like a shield. "We can swim downstream. They won't follow us in here." With each stroke, she feels the weight of their situation lifting slightly. The current is strong, but they push against it, determined to escape the clutches of their pursuers. Behind them, the sounds of chaos fade as the overseers search the banks, their shouts growing distant. After what feels like an eternity, they reach a small cove, the water shallow enough to stand in. Exhausted, they pull themselves onto the bank, gasping for breath as they collapse onto the soft earth. "We made it," Thomas breathes, relief washing over him as he looks at Elena. "But what now? They'll be looking for us." Elena nods, her heart still racing. "We find the others. We can't give up now." The night air is thick with tension, but there's also a sense of freedom that fills her lungs. They are no longer prisoners of the plantation. They have taken the first step toward their liberation. As they gather themselves, the weight of their mission returns. They must regroup with the others, but the path ahead is uncertain. The stakes have never been higher, and they know that the fight for their freedom has only just begun. The night envelops Elena and Thomas as they crouch in the shadows by the riverbank, the coolness of the water soothing their frayed nerves. The sounds of the plantation have faded, but the echoes of their heartbeats pulse loudly in their ears. They have escaped the overseers for now, but they know that the danger is far from over. "What do we do now?" Thomas whispers, his voice trembling with uncertainty. Elena takes a deep breath, her mind racing. "We need to find the others. They may have made it to safety already, or they might be hiding nearby. We can't leave without regrouping." She glances up at the starry sky, seeking guidance among the constellations that twinkle above them. Each star seems to promise hope, a reminder that they are not alone in their fight. "We have to move carefully," she warns, her voice steady despite the fear swelling within her. "The overseers will be searching for us, and we need to avoid being caught." With a sense of purpose, they begin to make their way along the riverbank, keeping to the underbrush and avoiding any areas where they might be easily spotted. The moonlight filters through the trees, casting eerie shadows that dance around them, but Elena remains focused, her heart set on finding their comrades. As they walk, Thomas's breathing steadies and he falls into step beside her. "Do you think the others got away?" he asks, his voice barely above a whisper. "I have to believe they did," Elena replies, her determination unwavering. "We've all worked too hard for this moment. We can't let fear take that away from us." They navigate the winding path along the river, and as they move deeper into the woods, the sounds of the plantation fade into the background. The forest is alive with the sounds of night, crickets chirping, leaves rustling, and the distant call of an owl. But it feels strangely comforting, a reminder that life continues even in the face of adversity. After what feels like an eternity, they come across a small clearing bathed in moonlight. Elena pauses, scanning the area for any signs of their friends. "This feels like a good place to stop for a moment," she says, her heart racing with hope. They step into the clearing, and just as they do, they hear a familiar voice call out from the shadows. "Elena! Thomas!" The relief washes over them as Clara emerges from the darkness, her face illuminated by the moonlight. "Thank God you're safe," she exclaims, rushing toward them. "We thought we lost you." "Is everyone okay?" Elena asks, her voice filled with urgency. "Where's Isaiah?" "He's with the others," Clara replies, her brow furrowing. "We managed to regroup in another hidden spot a little further down the river. We thought you might try to come this way." Elena's heart lifts at the news, but it is quickly tempered by the reality of their situation. "We need to move," she insists. "The overseers will be searching for us. We can't stay here for long." Clara nods, her expression serious. "I agree. We've been moving in small groups trying to stay under the radar. The others are waiting for us, but we need to be careful. As they prepare to leave the clearing, Thomas glances nervously around. What if they're still looking for us? What if we run into them again? Elena places a reassuring hand on his shoulder. We'll stick together and keep our eyes open. We've made it this far. We can't give up now. With a renewed sense of purpose, the three of them set off once more, moving swiftly through the trees. The moon hangs high above them, illuminating their path as they navigate the familiar terrain. As they walk, the tension in the air grows thicker. Each snap of a twig or rustle of leaves sends a jolt of fear through them, but they push forward, driven by the urgency of their situation. Elena can feel the weight of their mission pressing down on her, but she also feels a flicker of hope igniting within her. After some time, they reach a small rise overlooking a secluded area. Below, they see a gathering of their fellow workers, their faces tense but hopeful. Isaiah stands at the center, his voice rising above the murmurs as he addresses the group. "Listen up," he calls, his tone firm. "We've made it through the first wave, but we must remain vigilant. The overseers will not give up easily, and we have to be prepared for whatever comes next." Elena feels a surge of pride as she watches him speak, his confidence radiating through the group. She and Clara slip into the circle, joining their comrades as they share stories of their escape and the challenges they've faced. "We have to decide our next steps," Isaiah continues, his expression serious. "We need to find a way out of here, but we must also ensure that everyone is safe. This is about more than just our freedom. It's about the safety of our families and friends." Elena steps forward, her heart racing as she addresses the group. "I know it's dangerous, but we can't let fear paralyze us. We've already taken a huge step by escaping. Now we need to keep moving forward." The group murmurs in agreement, and Elena can see the determination in their eyes. "We have a plan," Clara adds. "We can use the paths through the woods to reach the river. From there, we can find a way to cross and head toward the mountains. It's risky, but it might be our best chance." Isaiah nods, his expression contemplative. "We'll need to move quickly and quietly. The more time we spend here, the greater the risk we face. Let's gather what supplies we can and prepare to leave at first light." As the meeting wraps up, Elena feels a sense of solidarity among the group. They are no longer just a collection of individuals. They have become a family united by a common cause. Together they are strong, and together they will fight for their freedom. As they settle into the clearing for the night, Elena lies back against the cool grass, staring up at the stars. For the first time in days, she allows herself to dream of what freedom might look like. The thought of a life beyond the plantation fills her with hope, and she whispers a silent prayer for their safety. But as she drifts off to sleep, a nagging fear lingers in the back of her mind. The overseers are still out there, and the fight is far from over. The dawn will bring new challenges, and they must be ready to face whatever comes their way. As the first light of dawn breaks, a soft glow seeps into the clearing, gently nudging Elena awake. She blinks against the brightness, her heart pounding as the weight of their plans floods back to her. The air is still cool, and she can see the mist rising from the river, creating an ethereal blanket that floats above the ground. Elena quickly sits up, her eyes scanning the area for signs of movement. The other workers are starting to stir, stretching and gathering their belongings. There is a sense of urgency that hangs in the air, a reminder of the precariousness of their situation. "Wake up, everyone," Isaiah calls, his voice cutting through the morning hush. "We have to get moving. We don't have much time." The group springs into action, packing their meager supplies and preparing for the journey ahead. Elena helps Clara gather their things, her hands shaking slightly with anticipation and fear. "Do you think we'll make it?" Clara asks, her voice barely above a whisper. "I have to believe we will," Elena replies, trying to inject confidence into her tone. "We've come too far to turn back now. Our freedom is waiting for us." As they gather around Isaiah for one last briefing, Elena feels the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. We need to stick together and move as one unit. Isaiah instructs, his tone serious. Every step we take today could bring us closer to freedom or put us in danger. Watch each other's backs. The group nods, determination etched on their faces. They form a tight circle, hands clasping each other's shoulders for a moment of solidarity. We're in this together, Elena affirms, her heart swelling with pride. No matter what happens, we fight for each other. With that, they set off, moving cautiously through the trees. The sun peeks through the leaves, casting dappled light on the ground as they follow the path along the river. Every sound seems amplified, birds chirping, leaves rustling, and the distant rush of water, heightening their sense of alertness. As they walk, Elena glances at her companions, noting the lines of worry etched on their faces. She wishes she could ease their fears, but she knows that the uncertainty of their journey looms large. "Stay close," she whispers to Thomas, who walks beside her, his eyes darting around nervously. "I'm right here," he replies, his voice steadying. "I just hope we don't run into any overseers." Their journey continues, and after a few hours of walking they reach a fork in the path. Elena's heart sinks as they stop to assess their options. One path veers deeper into the woods, while the other follows the riverbank more closely. "What do you think?" Clara asks, her brow furrowed in concentration. Isaiah studies both paths, his expression thoughtful. "The riverbank might be safer. It could give us cover, but it also leaves us exposed if the overseers are patrolling the area." Elena weighs their choices, her instincts telling her to trust the river. "What if we stick closer to the water? We can use the trees for cover, and if we need to, we can slip into the water to hide." "Good idea," Isaiah agrees, nodding. "Let's move quickly, but quietly." As they take the river path, the tension in the group seems to ease slightly. The sound of flowing water is soothing, and the sun warms their backs as they walk. Elena feels a flicker of hope, the promise of freedom seeming closer with each step. But as they continue along the riverbank, the atmosphere shifts. The air grows heavy with the scent of damp earth and the distant smell of smoke. Elena's heart races as she exchanges worried glances with Clara. "Do you smell that?" she whispers. "Yeah, it smells like a fire," Thomas replies, his eyes wide with concern. "What if the overseers are burning something?" "Or maybe they're cooking," Clara suggests, her voice trembling. "We should be careful." Suddenly, the sound of footsteps reaches their ears, heavy boots crunching against twigs and leaves. Elena's heart drops as she signals for the group to stop. They huddle behind a cluster of bushes, peering through the foliage to see what's happening. Through the trees, they spot a group of overseers gathered around a small campfire, their voices low but unmistakable. "They can't have gone far," one of them growls, his face shadowed by the trees. "We'll find them. We can't let them escape." Elena's breath catches in her throat as she realizes how close they are to danger. "We need to move," she whispers urgently. "If they're here, we can't risk being seen." Isaiah nods, his expression grim. "We'll backtrack and find another way. Stay low and quiet." They retreat cautiously, retracing their steps along the riverbank, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Elena's thoughts race as they navigate the underbrush, her heart pounding in her chest. Each sound feels amplified, each rustle of leaves a reminder of the danger lurking nearby. After what feels like an eternity, they come to a larger clearing, the river widening before them. The sunlight spills across the water, creating a shimmering path that beckons them forward. "This might be our chance," Isaiah whispers, glancing around for any signs of danger. Elena's heart races at the sight of the water. "If we can cross here, we'll be farther away from the overseers," she suggests, her voice filled with urgency. "Let's do it," Thomas agrees, his eyes brightening at the prospect of escape. They move quickly to the water's edge, the sound of the river rushing around them drowning out their fears for the moment. But as they begin to wade across, Elena glances back at the shore, her heart racing with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Halfway across, a sudden shout pierces the air. There they are! Get them! Elena's blood runs cold as she turns to see the overseers rushing toward the water, their faces twisted with fury. "Run!" she screams, urgency propelling her forward. "Don't look back!" They push through the water, the current tugging at their legs as they scramble to reach the opposite bank. The shouts of the overseers grow louder, the sound of boots splashing in the water ringing in their ears as they fight to escape. With a final burst of energy, they reach the far shore, collapsing onto the dry ground, gasping for breath. As they scramble to their feet, Elena glances back to see the overseers still on the other side, their faces contorted with rage but unable to cross the river. "Keep moving," Isaiah urges, his voice filled with urgency. "We can't stop now." They break into a sprint, their hearts pounding as they race through the trees, adrenaline propelling them forward. The sounds of the overseers fade behind them, but the fear of being caught lingers in the air. As they run deeper into the woods, the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across their path. The beauty of the forest stands in stark contrast to the chaos of their flight, and Elena pushes herself harder, fueled by the hope of freedom. "Where do we go now?" Clara gasps, her breath coming in ragged bursts. "We need to find shelter for the night," Isaiah replies, glancing around for any signs of a safe place. "We can't risk being caught out in the open." Elena scans the surrounding trees, her instincts guiding her. "There's a grove up ahead," she points out, noting the way the trees cluster together. "We can hide there until dawn." They reach the grove, the trees forming a protective barrier around them. As they settle into the shadows, the adrenaline begins to ebb, leaving behind exhaustion and a sense of vulnerability. Elena leans against a tree trunk, her heart still racing as she catches her breath. "We made it," she murmurs, her voice filled with disbelief. "For now," Claire replies, her expression still tense. "But we can't let our guard down. They'll be looking for us." Isaiah nods, his eyes scanning the darkness. "We need to keep watch. I'll take the first shift." As the night deepens around them, Elena feels a mixture of hope and fear swirling within her. They have escaped the overseers, but the fight is far from over. She knows that the road ahead will be fraught with challenges, but she also knows that they are stronger together. They huddle close for warmth, the cool night air biting at their skin. Elena closes her eyes, allowing herself to drift into an uneasy sleep, her dreams filled with visions of freedom and the uncertain future that awaits them. But as the stars twinkle above, she knows that they have taken a step into the unknown, and together they will face whatever challenges lie ahead.